And welcome to Gunnar Weiskamp's Web Development. Today, doing lesson 3, we will in Web API obviously. Today we'll be building a Web API via the two projects process, which is what I'm mentioning today. So yeah, there's many different ways you can create a Web API. This is a popular process where you have the Web API separate in a separate project, and you have your MVC project separate. That's it in a nutshell. If you want to create the start of today's application, I'm using Visual Studio 2013. Just go to File, New here, Project, then here select the items in B, and then in C, make sure you got empty MVC app. We're going to add the Web API in another step. So just do what here is shown in C, empty MVC. Okay. Now, yeah, so let's jump into Visual Studio. Right, now you should have what I have, which is just your normal normal MVC app. So you have your controllers folder, models and views there. First step we're going to do, before we do anything else, is we're going to add our API project into this. So that's adding a new project. You might have done this before using Visual Studio, so it's nothing new in that sense. So just go to add existing, not existing project, new, bad. You obviously want to add a new project. Right, so here we are. What are we going to call this? API client. Just give it a different name. And obviously our current project. So I could have named these differently. This would be like, you could just call this an MVC app. And this would be your API app. Because one of these processes is you can have sometimes multiple MVC apps, but they all want to call into the same API process, because sometimes you can have commonly used API processes which all these MVC apps might want to use. So anyway, just thought I'd bring that up. Am I in the right directory? I want to save mine here in my correct directories. That looks fine. So yeah, so now press OK. Down here, it gets a little bit tricky. I find this a little bit tricky. You can't tick these off, see? And you want to first tick Web API. And I've always found that a little bit weird. But anyway, so make sure empty is selected. So now you can select which, Web Forms MVC, or whatever you want to tick. We just want to now do the Web API separate in a separate project. So make sure empty is selected and Web API is selected. Press OK. And now we'll get a different project here in our solution, which is just going to represent our API area. So again, yeah, you can imagine having numerous MVC apps and they all want to call the same API client. Then you're better off creating a separate API project and then creating all your MVC apps underneath that. Okay, should be good now. So the only thing creating, so let's just, come on. So as before in our last tutorial, the API area is much the same or very similar to a normal MVC app. So you get your controllers and models folder there. But one thing to notice, which is maybe I should have highlighted, there's no views folders. And that's obviously important because APIs are not meant to show you views. They're just meant to do stuff. Technically, I'd say they're not even meant to return anything. They're just meant to sort of, for me, update, delete, and create stuff rather than get stuff. But you can do all those with an API. But that's an interesting thing here. Obviously, there's no views folder. So as we talked about before, we have this routing API folder created. And you'll always remember that this folder here is there. Again, that can be anything you want, but if you don't change it, create an API folder. So that's what we're doing next. It's just good to keep to conventions as well, because if we all play the same game as developers in these certain aspects, our code is easy to look at and work at. You know, everybody, a new developer can come and see, oh yeah, your API controllers are going to be in here. So it makes it easier for the community. So now in this folder we're adding a controller. It'll obviously be the special type of our web API controller. And we call it get user. We are going to use the same code or the same processes as in the last example. So if you've seen the last example, you'll see a lot of this code and it's going to be quite familiar. I just thought that would be easier. So, as mentioned before, the only difference between MVC and a web API is the web API inherits from this API controller. It's not the only difference, but it's one of the things to pick up. So, now we've got all these components ready here. We just have to put in our code. One thing different here, sorry, we are going to add a model here. Going to add a model class in here as well into our API area. While that's doing that, I'll start to grab some code from our existing areas just to make all this process quicker. Right, so there's our user data model. And now let's grab our API code. Which is in here. Okay, so okay, right. Just gonna model this as the same as this control, so I should have actually called this get data. So I don't want to confuse people too much. So let's bring, this is our example code. I should have called this really get data, and that is important. So let's rename that. So this is important. Call that get data controller and rename this as get data controller as well. Okay, so let's bring in our model folder. Okay, so now our code is all in line, it's come up online, what do I want to call it, save everything. That should be all our web API code done. Now we have to go back in the MVC app and create all our information there. So it saves. While that's doing that, okay, we'll grab our code for our controller. Thank you. Hello, saved. Okay. So we've done all our API code now. So let's just shrink that down and go back into our MVC app. Now, as mentioned, we're going to add a controller here for our MVC application. Simply call it, so click on that one and press add, simply call it home. Replace the code. We've got to obviously add in our model here, so that's two things which are sort of different than our last example. This is getting a model of this information, so that can sometimes be a difficult thing to manage. So if you've got a number of MVC apps out here and they all have to pass in certain model information, you don't have to sometimes in this example repeat the model structure in your web API area, which we're going to do right now. So that can be a bit, don't have to work. I don't like that approach. There's just something messy about repeating code, I guess. That's what I'm getting at. Because generally you don't, well, sometimes you want to repeat code. But anyway, I just think in this circumstance, it's not the ideal thing we want to be doing. Right, okay. So now let's bring in our models folder here. Using models. Now that should come in line. It has. Let's build everything in our MVC app. Build. So what are we doing in our application? We're doing really this exactly the same as we did in lesson 2. Here in our index, we're going to pass this user data model to this view. We're going to add a view in a moment for this user data model. All we're doing is passing in the username, and in this view, associated view, is going to be a link. And then when you click on it, you're going to be able to get you're going to go into this MVC client area and get the password. You're going to pass the username into it, and the API area is going to be entered, and we're going to get the password associated with this person. So if we can I split screen here while we're waiting for it to build. Whilst we'll talk a little bit about the code. So, and I want to specifically look at the web API area. So just to be clear, this is in our web API area here. I might be confusing myself actually. Where is this guy? Web API. Oh yeah, sorry, in here. Anyway, so it's in here. Sorry, we're going to go in here, create a link. We're going to click on the link with this view. That link will then pass control over here into this web API area. And we're going to go into this function, get user password with that username, and then we're going to look in this object for this username of Mary. Once we find it, using link, we're going to record that here in our results user data model, and then we're going to pass this result user data model just back to the screen. Exactly what we did in the last tutorial. Anyway, so the build has succeeded. Let's add a view. Details. We're going to again paste over this code, so don't be too concerned about it. Righto, so I'm just trying to think. Don't reference anything if you can. I just like to keep my information clean. So yeah, so press add. While that's doing that, oops, come here. Let us go and get the code for our view. So we're just literally going to copy this over it, just like we did in our last one. Except, hold on, no, not that one. Yeah, except this is the code we want. Sorry, let me get rid of that. Too many things open. It's never a good thing. Let's go back into our other application. Our other application. Okay, so here's our view associated with this guy. So let's get rid of all that code. Now, the important thing to mention here, let's sort of break this down. Here we can see the big change here is we're calling a different domain area. So this has got, the API has got its own local host area, obviously. So we're going to be calling it to a different area here. Last time all we had was, all we had was that, because it was in the same solution. This time we have to call into the API client here. And as mentioned before, you've got to go and look in the API folder, and then you've got to go and get that, tell it which controller you're going to use, and we're going to use the get data controller. And then we've got to tell it which function we're going to use so we've got it here. We're going to tell it which function to use as well, which is this get user password, which is there, and the parameters we're passing. So that's how all that's built up. We've got a squiggly line up here because namespace there we go. We've put our model in here now, so these guys will come up correctly. At least I hope so. Should be fine. Yeah, just trust me on that. Okay, so we're literally doing the same thing as we did in the example 2. That should be fine. I find these little things come up now and then, so that's connected to that. That should be fine. So let's just get rid of him. So doing exactly the same as our last example. The only difference is here in MVC app, it's going to call into this area into our separate API client. That's the only difference. So let's build that. Okay, press F5. Okay, and let's. Oops. What have we done here? Right, okay, so now we've got our windows open as well. This is already running. So split screen that if I can. So yeah, now we've got our link there, which is this code here. So our link here is represented underneath that information, and then that, when we click on this link, we're going to go into this web API area, just like we did before, and get the password back of my password Mary. Let's give that a go. There we go. So we can see it's coming here, grab this piece of information here, and return that to the screen. So that's just the distinctive little difference between, I guess, building a web API in two separate areas. So here we've got our web API and here's MVC. Mainly it's this bit of code here. You've got to tell it which domain area to go to. Cool. Okay, so I hope this today's tutorial was useful to you. Please subscribe to my channel or feel free to visit my website there as well. Thank you. Bye.